In beautiful San Diego, where the desert meets the sea, LaDon Hatley has been training both horses and children for as long as locals can remember. Jovial, white-haired woman, horses and children were her surrogate family. They were her life. Then came that day she had a load of Cub Scouts in her horse-drawn wagon, and they were thoroughly enjoying the ride when LaDon felt uncomfortable about something. Now, driving wagons and cars and show rigs for most of a lifetime, impending trouble tends to telegraph itself through your seat. She stopped the wagon. She asked the youngsters to climb off. Then she snapped the horse into a slow trot to see if she could figure it out. Suddenly, the wagon springs snapped. The wagon tipped. LaDon Hatley was thrown out, landing on her shoulder. She could hear bones snapping and popping inside her arm, and then the spooked horse panicked and pulled the upside-down wagon across her head. She came to, surrounded by frightened Cub Scouts, some of them crying, one of them alert enough to telephone 911. LaDon's scalp was torn almost completely off. Her nose was broken. There were bleeding cuts from her forehead to her chin. During the painful repairs in the hospital and the tedious recuperation, LaDon Hatley had a talk with herself. Maybe it was time to quit the horse show circuit. After all, she'd be getting Social Security checks soon, and the draft horses these days are so big, and they seem even more huge as the trainer gets older. Anyway, she would certainly drop her classes for youngsters, and she would certainly drop out of the Draft Horse Classic in Cross Valley and take it easy. When LaDon got home from the hospital, her arm in a sling and her face looking like a catcher's mitt after a hot summer doubleheader, who was waiting for her but Courtney Michaelis? Pretty little Courtney was so thrilled to see her. Now, little Courtney said, we can get back to my driving lessons. There is still time to compete in the Pee-wee cart driving in Cross Valley. No way could LaDon shatter the little girl's dreams, so she said nothing about quitting. At least that could wait until after the competition. It was difficult for LaDon to climb back into the wagon, but she made it. And seated alongside tiny Courtney, they went to work, and they kept at it. The little girl had no chance of winning, of course, but just the idea of competing was thrilling, so she worked hard. She came to know her horse well. LaDon was still limping and in pain when they got to the fairgrounds. There were more than 250 great big draft horses. And then came the bad news. There were not enough entries in the Pee-wee class. That event had been canceled. But Courtney did not know how to quit. Little Courtney said, let's sign up in the junior class. And then she begged, please. There, that 7-year-old would have to compete with drivers as old as 17, most of them with years of experience. Well, LaDon thought about it, looked at the pleading eyes of the little blonde girl and said, I'll sign us up. When they entered the arena the next afternoon for the junior championship, spectators laughed. Spectators laughed. Bill Kiley, a reporter for Grit, observed that little Courtney did not know that she was supposed to be scared. She was supposed to be nervous handling the big draft horse. Instead, she remembered her lessons. She listened to the whispering promptings from the scarred lady sitting at her side. And when it was announced that the first place ribbon had been awarded to Courtney Michaelis of San Diego, California, you could hear LaDon Hatley's hoot for half a mile. She jerked her injured right arm out of its sling and into the air, shouting, yes, yes, yes. When they headed back to the stables with their blue ribbon, each was crying, yet at the same time, each was wearing a grin wide enough for two. A little girl had become a young woman, and a battered old woman was young again.